It looks like it's the after radio show reactionary time, which apparently is becoming a nightly thing for me. So I'll have to start pasting these videos. It'll probably die down when I start getting more information out there and I feel like I've told enough of the story. I know. I was listening to a interview with Butch Witowski, which, if you don't know who that is, he is a really excellent researcher that I might have recommended here before, who I found out about him through his research into human mutilations, and I have actually exchanged a couple of emails with him to get recommendations on what books to begin with. And although I had already started my reading journey, he had helped me a little bit with where to go. And pretty fair, decent guy. The subject of people in my situation, which if you're in my situation you can relate, where you can't seem to find someone to help you and the researchers blow you off. And it came out that if you're someone who, I don't know, has seen a UFO, and you go to Mary Jo, the researcher, and then you also go to Billy Bob, the researcher, this creates a conflict. So, because you've got two researchers researching the same case, so if you've already been to a researcher and you're trying to go to a different one, you can forget it because the researchers are not going to touch you after that. And the points he put out as to why were valid points. It creates a conflict of information, and it can create, you know, a little bit of a backlash between researchers. They can get into each other's way. It can compromise witnesses. What bothered me, like, I was literally grinding my teeth. I was so angry because you know how a sore subject this is with me. You know, many people will go to a different researcher because they didn't hear what they want, you know, and it was basically this mentality of the burden is on the person if they've already been somewhere. It made me feel like, but I'm not a virgin anymore, I'm just a used car, so I'm not worth driving. Oh, it's been days since that particular interview, and I admire Butch Witowski a lot, and I admire his work, and it has taken me that long to articulate this. There are a lot of people in my situation. I've met you, you're out there, we've traded stories, and yeah, which is of course why this YouTube channel. Grrr! I was going to talk about how you know, ghost habits and where they tend to haunt, and how, you know, people think that ghosts hang in the cemeteries, and for the most part they don't, except for there are a couple who do. And usually, you know, it seems to usually be cemeteries in which people used to be buried alive, like in, say, St. Augustine, Florida. But I don't know enough about ghosts to really cover that topic, so I've decided instead to tell you about my hybrid child, who I have been thinking about a lot in the past couple of years. Of course, I think about all of my children a lot. My children do not know how often they cross my mind all day long. The story of my hybrid daughter is really like a lot to it. Like, I could write a novel about this, and who knows, maybe I will. So I have to gloss over some parts, but I thought I would share her with you. Sometimes I think she's my only claim to experience sort of a cultural normalcy. So what I'm going to tell you are things that were happening to me over a long period of time, and I'm going to try to make it short because, you know, I don't like my videos to be too long. But the rant stays. The rant stays. So my menarche, which, if you don't know that word, that's your first period. Menarche happened for me around age 14. Around that period of time, I was also really active. I was starting to participate in a lot of doe hunts, getting chased down. You know, I used to call them the FBI, and they were the men in suits that came and hunted me down one night. They actually hunted me down and captured me one night. I still remember that night when I was hunted down and captured and brought into the program, and I was probably 13 or 14 years old. But I had already been into a lot of things before that. Remembering my past life. I mean, I even drew out my entire first life's family tree. me and my older brother were really into trying to open portals so that we could escape Earth. We were very unhappy here because 70s and Native Americans were still considered worse than blacks back then, and we really went through a lot, and we just really wanted out. And portal, you know, so we were like, we'll do the multiple Earth theory and try to go to one of the many other worlds that these authors have made up. And that's how come when people tell me, well, you know, books are really about alternate Earths, I'm like, no, I'm not. No, you don't understand how hard I tried to go to these alternate Earths. And we didn't manage to open up anything until we stopped looking for things that didn't exist and just let it go. But anyway, so we had basically made portals out of mirrors, and I had a mirror in my bedroom right around my menage. This really gorgeous looking blonde haired man came through my mirror, and he came to take me on an adventure. And this is the dream world, right? You know, you think, oh, I'm dreaming. And so he didn't just like hop in the sack with me right away. I mean, he actually took me on adventures. I mean, I got to role play a police person. I got to role play a detective. I was really into Nancy Drew back then, you know. And when he did finally bed me, it was actually on a river, because we had been out hunting for the lost pirate gold of where I grew up. There's a legend about pirate gold out there. And I'm thinking nothing of it, you know. I mean, the next day I'm like, well, okay, they tell you you're going to have sexual dreams. That was a really detailed, vivid dream, but you know, I took it as a dream, except that this person kept coming every night. And so I named him George. And I really looked forward to George's visits. And after a while, one night came, and he came to me and he said, marry me and I will make you beautiful. And he showed me what I would look like. And I was in this beautiful white traditional buckskins. And I was about to say yes, because what this, I can't call him a succubus now, what this entity was offering me was what I viewed as acceptance, because I was called ugly every day. Everywhere I went, everyone said I was ugly. So he was offering release, he was offering freedom, he was offering me the world on the silver platter, all in exchange for the thing that I already did, which was to give him affection. And so I almost said yes, when suddenly, I don't know, in this dream world, this, you could call her my ancestor, but she was wearing Navajo clothing. I'm not Navajo. She come from very far away, and I remember sensing how irritated she was. That she had to come and to stop this. And so she stopped it, and I told him no. I was like, you're only using me, no. And then suddenly I was dumpy old me again. I remember I kept ducking down in this mirror going, maybe this time, but everything was gone. And incidentally, this happened before Labyrinth. Like, I didn't see Labyrinth until years after that. And after that, I didn't have another period for a good 6, 7, 8 months. And it was a very embarrassing time for me. My belly got really big. And my mother was always like, are you pregnant? Are you pregnant? No, I wasn't pregnant as far as I knew, because I had never had sex as far as I knew. Meanwhile, George was furious. At night, he'd throw bottles at my head, and the room would get really cold when he would come into the room. And one night he came, and I was afraid because he was getting more and more angry. And, you know, even at that age, I knew it was because I had broken his heart. I mean, if you had seen his face, you know. My father chased him off. Didn't take no preacher, it didn't take no Bible, no holy water. It took a protective father to say, I'll take care of him, and George never came back. But the visits with the men in suits at night continued and were very active, but the chases stopped during this time. And then one night, I dreamt that I had a baby girl. And I don't remember the labor and delivery. All I have ever remembered from the day at night it happened was lying in the bed. I didn't know where I was, and the men in black took her from me in that moment. And there was a woman in a suit, and she showed me my child. and I started my period. And you would think, okay, that's just a long-standing dream that just happened over many nights, and it was just a continuing scenario. But this happened for over many years afterwards, because I was, by that point in time, in the program. And I would go and I would do things. I would go to ships. There was a mothership that used to go in the air, and I would go up there a lot, and I would go up and do my missions, and I never remembered the missions. I never remembered much, except that I knew I was going somewhere, and I knew that I had this old man that I was close to, who I was close to. And I don't know if, I'm guessing he was my handler now, my first handler. And after missions, I would repeatedly, you go on your mission, then you come back, because you're not headed home yet. You don't just finish the mission and just head straight home. You come back to base and, debriefing and stuff like that. And we would be back, only I was a kid, so I didn't do debriefings. I was just brought back, and the handler would go do the debriefing, and usually I was left to my own devices. So I would just walking down the hallway, la 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 la, to the nursery. Oh, there's my youngin', I'm gonna grab her and run. And I stole my child, I don't know how many times. And it was years of me stealing my child and grabbing a small ship and taking off. I mean, when she was gotten to be like 3 and 4 years old, I would go to get her. She'd be waiting for me outside the door of the nursery. So they started instilling things in me to stop me, and the thing that they put in the biggest was this big bear, and I don't know if the bear was real, I don't know. All I know is, as I was always running to try to get away with my little girl, this bear, this big Kodiak bear, would come after us, and it would swipe, and metal would just curl, and I don't know what I was perceiving, I don't know what was really happening, but to this day I'm traumatized by bears. I cannot handle bears. Like, don't even get me on the subject. I'll be crying in front of the camera. I just leave it at that. And now at the moment I'm experiencing deja vu, and in the deja vu it was someone, like maybe one of my human children, are going to see this and be upset at this video, and I'm still going to post this because this is a story that needs to be told. I continued to see my daughter until she was about 14 or 15 years old. So I got to watch my little girl grow up in a visitation kind of way. I named her Genevieve. The reason why I named her Genevieve, yes, I know that I am called Jennifer on this channel. That's why I'm called Jennifer. Jennifer White, after her. I named her Genevieve because I was really into King Arthur at the time, and it's actually a form of Guinevere. Guinevere meaning white. And the reason why I chose that name is because her father was just so very white. He was a white man, but and she incidentally looks so much like him, if you perceive her as a human. Now that I know what I know about hybrids, I often wonder, how was she looking? Was I perceiving them this way? Is she like half white gray? Is she half reptilian? What is she? I would love to know. But I haven't seen her since about she was 14 or 15, which is about when she would have come of age. And I've always kind of suspected that she came of age, and so it was a new life, a new time. And if I have seen her, I just don't remember, but chances are really I just have not seen her. I've heard a lot of reports from researchers talking about people who talk about the hybrid babies and how they just get flushed and killed sometimes. But I got to watch mine grow up. And there are reports now of hybrids being more active and coming down on Earth and everything, and so perhaps mine is somewhere out there. Maybe she's working in the White House, maybe she's working at a McDonald's. But that is the story of Genevieve, and my only claim to normalcy that I know of as far as the Experiencer MK Ultra side goes. And only one researcher has ever asked or cared about that story, and she didn't really want all of those details herself. So this old worn out car has went the extra mileage to share this story. I don't know how it will help other people. I just, actually truth is I'm panic attacking just sharing it. I shared the link to this channel to some people in the radio show chat room tonight, and I thought my heart was going to burst. The silent panic attack. Although I put these things out, I'm really, it's kind of weird. It's a really big conflict having the instinct to tell this story while at the same time having the instinct to keep your mouth shut because of the conflicting orders. There are a lot of stories in my head, and a couple I know I cannot share because of the sensitivity of the subject. But this one I think it's okay to share now. So I hope you enjoyed hearing about Genevieve.